book mums, and welcome back to Get Me a Library. Today I'm reviewing a book called The Stormcrow. So I received this in my Fairy Loot box back in December, and it's an ARC, which means that it hasn't been released yet. It doesn't release until the 9th of July. I think it's July, was it 7th of September? I think it's July. So I feel really lucky to have read this book because it was absolutely amazing. I have mixed opinions about it. So I really liked this book, really liked this book. But the fact that I've received it early means that I have to wait extra long for the second one. So that is my mixed feelings. Other than that, it's pretty good. Okay, so Aragon meets And I Darken in this thrilling new fantasy debut that follows a fallen princess as she ignites a rebellion to bring back the magical elemental crows that were taken from her people. In the tropical kingdom of Ryadar, elementary crows are part of every aspect of life until the Ilukian Empire invades, destroying everything. That terrible night has thrown Princess Anthea into a deep depression. Her sister Kalazar is busy running the kingdom after her mother's death, but all Thea can do is think of everything she has lost. But when Kalazar is forced to agree to a marriage between Thea and the Crown Prince of Ilukia, Thea is finally spurred into action, and after stumbling upon a hidden crow egg in the rubble of a rookery, the sisters devise a dangerous plan to hatch this egg in secret and win back what was taken from them. Already it sounded really good, and I'm not even kidding when I read you literally the first line, because this is what hooked me. So once you're inside the book you get a map. I thought I'd show you that first because it comes before the first line. So this is how big it is. It's a pretty big kingdom. Everything seems to be quite a distance from each other. So the kingdom of Aris down here to take us all the way up through to the other kingdom, which we do eventually go on to, it takes about 10 days I think, so by carriage. So obviously it'd be longer if you walked, and they obviously don't have cars or planes, but the point is it is quite a big kingdom. So this is where we basically start our journey. We then go up into this kingdom here as well. We do talk a little bit about this kingdom, slightly about this one, and we end up in this kingdom. So we do sort of go around the map. So this is really cool to have this in the map, in the book. So yeah, the first line, I was a storm. I was like, oh, adrenaline ripped through my veins like lightning as I leaned close to the body of my crow, preparing to execute a dive. Isla's warm, steady heat kept me grounded. Even hundreds of feet in the air, cold wind whipped tendrils of hair free from my braid, nipping at the skin around my goggles and stealing my breath. When I read it, I was like, I want to ride a crow. So obviously this is an ARC, so I believe this is how the cover's going to be, but it's obviously a different type of book to what you would actually get when you buy it or if you get it on the Kindle. But please remember to go to page 339, because at the back you find a page called Wings of Eris, and you've got all the types of crows that are in there. So I'm not going to read you too much because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to read it yourself. But for example, it tells you the saint of the winged crow, it tells you the egg, what it looks like, and the head of its house. So you're able to sort of tell what kind of egg or what crow is going to be inside that egg. And then after you get through the crows, you get to the kingdoms. And this was very interesting. I only found it when I was looking for a spoiler whilst I was halfway through, so I wanted to know about something. But yes, so you've got all the kingdoms in here as well, so read that as well because it does help you. Okay, so on to the review. The way I'm going to do this review is I'm going to review it, tell you what it's about a little bit more in detail, no spoilers because the book's not out. However, I am going to give a tiny little spoiler. And the only reason I'm giving it is because I need to rant about something. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, I just need to voice myself. And I don't know anybody that has read this yet. I'm hoping I can find someone on Instagram that got it from Fairy Loot, but I can't find anyone yet. I did speak to somebody on Goodreads about something and they replied, but it's all hush hush. So I really, really want to rant about it. So if you guys have read this book or you're looking to read it and you're happy for a spoiler and happy for me to rant about something, then watch after my final outro, and there you'll have me for a couple of seconds just ranting about something, okay? Until then, I will just get on with the review. Okay, so I don't know where to start, to be honest, because it's such a good book that there is so much to talk about. But we'll talk a little bit in detail about what it's actually about. So Princess Thea lives in the Kingdom of Riyadh with her sister and her mother. So they have these elemental crows, like I said, and it's what makes their kingdom so unique. Now, the other kingdoms are sort of very jealous, not in a way to wage war, but they do want these crows, okay? It's something that only they have. I don't know if it's to do with the habitat. I don't know whether it's to do with the people. I'm not sure. That is something that only they have. Now, the Queen of Khan Empire, she basically invades their kingdom with her forces and her gigantic army, because she's already taken over so many of the other kingdoms. One of the kingdoms she hasn't taken over is Trendle, which later on creates an alliance with Riyadh by marrying the prince with Thea's sister. So they seem to be like a close relation. But other than that, she's basically taken over every other kingdom. Maybe it's because she's got a very skilled army, maybe it's just because people are weak compared to her, or maybe she is doing something in a different way, who knows. But the point is that she's now trying to get Riyadh. So it seems to be that there's a history with them before. The last battle that they had, a lot of people died, I believe including their father and grandparents and so on and so forth. And it seems as if Thea's mother didn't want to become queen. Her father was killed, her sister was killed, so she had to become queen. So it seems as if a lot of the kingdoms have fought a battle that they didn't want to fight, and obviously they've had casualties and deaths, so the family has then had to become king or queen. So the same thing happens again, except this time the crows are all killed. So there's a rookery where obviously the birds would live and breed, and the eggs would stay until hatching day, and then when they would hatch, everyone would sort of get their own specific crow. Some obviously, like I said, can do sun, some can do wind, water, fire, whatever, so they would then get their own crow. So as that day approaches, Thea's all like, oh, I'm finally going to get my own crow. She, you know, loves to fly on them and stuff, and, you know, she's going to get a crow, so she's excited for it. But then obviously this battle happens and this war rages, and within this war she loses her mother and his best friend, who is sort of like an aunt to her. They're like family. So she loses them. Then for 6 months she stays in her room. She suffers from depression. She's very down all the time. She doesn't really accept that she has got depression. It's sort of been hinted at by her fellow friends, etc., but she's never fully admitted it. She does finally admit it, but until that day she doesn't sort of admit it. She just thinks that she's being silly, kind of thing. So there is a little bit of depression in this book, but it's not one of those books where it solely focuses on depression and that is all you read. I mean, I know a lot of people suffer from it, but the type of person that I am, I don't like to sit and just read about something that perhaps is a tough subject to talk about. I don't particularly like books like that. Books for me are a way to get away from the world and just sort of sit down and relax and be in a different world and be a different person. So I like reading about things that are different to perhaps life. However, I do like it to talk about some things that are relatable, things that perhaps you know someone that suffers from it, or you suffer yourself. And I think that when someone writes about something like that, especially in the way that this book is written, it really does help people. I mean, it's not one of those books where it completely solely just talks about that and you forget about the fantasy element, and before you know it, the name Storm Crows was nothing to do with the book, and elemental crows don't exist because you know, it's just focused on that specific thing. So bear that in mind when you read it. It does have a little bit of that in it, but I didn't think it was too extreme. Even if I don't suffer from depression, even if I don't suffer from some things, the way that somebody writes a book can help you relate to somebody that does. So I just wanted to quickly say that whilst I'm talking about it. So Thea then leaves her bedroom. She then finds out that she is now going to be engaged to the son of the woman who basically killed her mother and took away all her crows. So she's obviously very angry about that. Erison arrives and it's like, are you going to be a Rysand and a Feyre? Are you going to be a nice guy? And I'm not spoiling anything, but there is more to him than meets the eye. So I have to wait for book number 2 to see. But yeah, so she meets him and she realises that he's arrogant, he's nasty, he's sarcastic, and he literally knows how to rub her up the wrong way, and he does it on various occasions. It is only until they leave for his kingdom for the engagement that the Queen is set to reveal the date. Nobody knows when the wedding's going to be, that you start to see a complete different side of him. You start to see the side where he is the way he is because of his mother, because he wants his mother's respect, he wants his mother to love him, he wants all of these kind of things. So he's kind of got this hard shell on him. People don't respect him, he wants to be respected. And you start to see that he's going to be a better person, not just because of Thea, just because he wants to be a better person than his forefathers before him. So there is more to meet the eye than with him. And I liked how with Thea, even though she suffered from depression, even though she had a happy start of the book when she's riding that crow, her character completely develops throughout the whole of the book. She starts off, like I said, happy. She then suffers from depression and she's very angry and upset. She then gets angry because she has to be married to somebody, though she understands why. She's then suddenly got a spark of hope with this egg. Then all over again, she suddenly is upset again because she can't make this crow hatch. So she's got so many emotions, and the way that it's written, you completely see every single one of those emotions, and it is such a good story. So the idea is pretty simple, okay? Kingdom is in ruins. Kingdom has the crows taken away from them, which are their speciality, what makes them unique, which helps them, you know, win wars, etc. And then the other kingdom wants to take over, and they want to hatch this crow to create their army again, to be strong. Even if they don't take over the other kingdoms, they just want to stop anyone from taking them over. I mean, they've taken away things. All kingdoms have suffered in this story, but it seems to be that Ryder is the next one to completely suffer everything. So I really liked how the story progressed. Like I said, it's such a simple story, but actually there's so much more to it. I mean, I don't think this book was very long. I didn't struggle to read it. I finished this in 2 days, and that wasn't even by me sat there trying really hard. I was busy. So it's not a quick read because there's a lot to the story. You do have to think about things. You do have to understand the characters. You do have to like read the back and see about the crows. You do have to think. So there is 2 love interests in this story. I will say no more. I will just leave you with that, and you can take upon what you think by me saying that. And the crows, I have to say, are absolutely adorable. I really wish I could have one myself, but yes, I can't say anything else because it's going to be a big spoiler. But yes, so keep an eye out for this. Have a look on Goodreads as well. There's lots of great reviews on there. Add this to your to be read so you don't forget about it, so you can remember that you need to read this book. So yes, keep an eye out for it. I honestly recommend this book. Now, with my rating, although Goodreads only goes up to like 5 stars, I've given it a 5-star. However, I am giving it a love heart because I think that it was truly amazing. But yeah, like I said, keep an eye out for this, and I will see you guys soon. But I'm going to give you a spoiler at the end outro until you're ready to see the spoiler. Bye. This love circle triangle, it's doing my head in. Okay, so Erison is arrogant, he is sarky, but there is more to him. and he starts to fall for Thea. Thea, on the other hand, says that she's not sure and she doesn't know if she likes him. Why? I liked Erison. I really did. I liked everything about him. I liked how he was like an enemy to start with and turns love interest kind of thing. I really, really liked that about him. There is another person called Kailas. I'm not hating on him at all. I think he's a nice person. He helps her with how to hatch the crow. He looks after the crow once they hatch it. That's a spoiler. But I would imagine that it would hatch anyway. I mean, what would be the point of another book? But anyway, forget about that. If that's a spoiler, I'm really sorry that I spoiled that for you. But honestly, there's so much more to the book than just that. I mean, there's a big twist. But yes, he's alright. I mean, they kiss. Very nice. Okay, fine. You know, Erison. And then she starts to fall for him. I'm like, okay, Erison. But Erison's feelings are not, well, Thea doesn't feel the same about Erison, put it that way. However, I believe that there is hope for the two of them because Erison is cool. Kailas is alright, but he's not my cup of tea. But I think that Thea does need to marry him. They do need to unite the countries. And I do think that he would make an amazing king and she'd make an amazing queen. And I think that together they can unite and create something amazing. Her sister will rule over Ryder with her husband and they will keep that good. She will then rule over with Erison and they would keep that good. So I think peace would be completely wonderful. Whereas I think if she doesn't marry Erison, it could potentially be bad. So there's also that as well, but I just think that they would make such a great pair. I mean, if you think about how Rysand and Feyre were, the way that they would like eat off each other's like personalities and they would bounce back and throw the ball at each other and their personalities would bounce at each other and blend so perfectly. They do the same thing and there's so many scenes where I'm like, just kiss him, just kiss her, oh, this is so good, but who knows what's going to happen. I just had to rant it because like I said, nobody I know has read this yet, which is a disappointment, but nobody I know has read this yet and I just needed to talk about it and no one else would listen but you. So thank you guys for watching. I hope it didn't spoil too much for you and I hope you enjoyed my review. Sorry it's a little bit long. They tend to get longer when I get excited, but yes, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.